Good morning, everybody. It, of course, is me, Mitch. Welcome to Morning Coffee with yours truly, and drink it if you got it. Drink it if you got it. While we wait for some people to show up here this morning. And an indication that I'm actually live, and it appears that I am. I like it when a plan comes together. So it says 26 people so far. I don't know how many we had yesterday or the day before when I first went live, but we'll see. In fact, I've been watching the chat here. And somebody just said, where is everybody? But I'm sure some people will show up, and if not, they won't. If not, they won't. How's everybody this morning? Pretty good? Pretty good. I noticed that Boyd Lamb got a little flag out here this morning. And I think he's the first I've seen that actually has been a member of the private community for 12 whole months. That's not shocking to me because Boyd Lamb, it's shocking to me that the private community is a year old now. Holy cow. Holy cow. Well, thank you, Boyd. Thank you. Thank you for sticking around and being an active member here. I really, really, really appreciate it. I want to say hello to people, but we'll wait until some more people come in. There we go. We got 53 of you now. It's always good to see you. Had a little trouble getting started this morning. Unfortunately, I may not be as jovial and happy as I was yesterday morning. And, you know, we can't always be in a great mood. Yesterday, I just felt great. Today, the day is about the same. The weather's great. The sun is shining. But something happened that just set me off on a worrisome track this morning. And that was the first thing I heard on the morning news. And it, of course, went to politics. And even though I don't talk a lot about politics, for a good reason, I'm passionate about it. I'm worried about it. I'm disgusted by it, like most of us are. And I see the dirty tricks just piling on and piling on. And I see the corruption just increasing, it seems like, every day to an order of magnitude. And that corruption reminds me of the corruption that's just killing the human race with the food and drug companies. And I try to be optimistic and I try to remain hopeful. But sometimes it just kicks the wind out of you. Just kicks the wind out of you. And the news that I got this morning, and I'll just tell you what it was just how far they'll go to cheat in order to win this upcoming election. And then I start thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen to our country if this election goes a certain way? Talking about this is very hard because I try. In fact, it's the most important thing to me to allow people to believe what they want to believe and do what they want to do. But when these people believing what they want to believe are so easily manipulated, and whose priorities don't involve much common sense and reality, then it does affect me. And when things that other people do affect your life, then I think you do have a right to at least have an opinion on the matter. So I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted there. I know over the past month or two, with the elevation of our cause of healthy living, corruption in the food system, and the government that regulates it, we've had a glimmer of hope. We've all sat and listened to Casey and Kaylee Means on many different podcasts. Most of us in this community on YouTube don't want to be political channels. But as we get closer, as we're less than 3 weeks away now from an election, the results of which will, for me, basically mean I can no longer live in this country. And watch what happens over the next 4 years after having to have watched what happened over the last 4 years. The ramifications are everything. And yet, when I hear the polls, their tie. Now I know that's propaganda too, but I know that I'm going to have to make, and many of us are going to have to make, just a lot of decisions after what happens in 3 weeks. I'm not telling you how to vote. I'm just telling you that I think there's more at stake here than has ever been at stake, not only for our country, but for the world in general. And the thing that triggered me this morning, I'll let you in on that. The first words I heard out of my clock radio, I have one of these Google things that came on, this was the sentence: a judge in Georgia has overturned the law that will require paper ballots in Georgia. I don't know if you know the ramifications of that. The Georgia legislature passed this paper ballot law to try to stave off the same nonsense that happened in our last election in Georgia. And the move is designed to make sure that all of the illegals will be able to vote. That's why they are so against voter ID and challenge in the courts with their judges, corrupt ones, any law that basically says in order to vote in a federal election in this country, you must be a citizen. I don't see how anybody can find anything wrong with that. But they use racism and discrimination and DEI and voter suppression and all that as an excuse to file lawsuits, when in reality, all any fair person should want is, you want to vote in our election, you should be a citizen of this country. If I went to any foreign country on the planet and tried to vote in their election, they would laugh at me. But here, the game is how many votes can we import? And that's the way they've been playing the game for years. I don't know what the figure is now. 10, 20 million potential illegal votes have come into this country. If this is the way our country's going to be from here on out, I don't want to live here. I don't want to pay taxes here. I don't want to work here. I'm sorry. I'm kind of old to start over, but that's how my day started, and it's depressed the hell out of me, and should certainly depress anybody who thinks about it in those terms. So that's all I'm going to say about that, and I've already said too much. So enjoy your coffee if that's possible. Sorry for the mood. I'm just concerned. I'm still a little optimistic. The most important issue for me is the health and the things that RFK Jr. and those people are trying to accomplish, and I know that for most of us is one of the greatest concerns. And if we're even to have the tiniest little chance of cleaning house, stopping the craziness about poisoning us, there's just too much riding on it. So that's enough of that. Let me say hi to people so I can try to cheer myself up. And let's see who we got here. I haven't been reading the comments. I'm sure there's, oh wow, I did this to myself again. I'm sure there's, oh, come on. Bear with me, one of those days. Live chat. There we go. Okay. So we have got 111 people listening to me pontificate about politics, something I really don't want to do. But another thing I didn't want to do was come on here this morning and put on an act for you all and try to be a clown and cheerful and everything else when I live in this world, the same world that you do. I worry about all the things that you do. I'm concerned about my future and my children's future as you are. And it's just getting too absurd, too much lunacy. I see there was a few political questions. Anyway, Papa Carnivore is here. How you doing? Let me go back to the beginning of the chat. Terry says, this is great. Good morning, Mitch, and the rest of you cubes of stew meat. That's what we are, yes. And Nick Sheeson is here, says, good morning, Mitch. Richard Williams, how you doing, Richard? From Copper Hill, Tennessee, good to see you. Sandra McDonald chimed in from Australia, where it was 12 hours later than we are. And I know that they have two different, on one coast of Australia, they're 12 hours different. On the other coast, I think the west coast, they're 15 hours different. Most people in Australia that I see on the internet here are 12 hours different. So if I'm 8:30 in the morning here, it's 8:30 in the evening for them. Jerry Bell says, hi, how you doing? And he says, smoke 'em if you got 'em. And I'm about ready to do that. Grandma Prepper was here early. Michael Seeley Sr., how you doing, Mike? Good to see you. And Steve Rogers, Captain America, is here. Papa Carnivore is here. Papa Carnivore, Peter says he's taking his morning walk. Sounds like a great thing to do. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning. Terry Wilson, how you doing? Had to break out my sweater this morning. Yes, I saw on the weather this morning that up in North Carolina, they're going to be freezing their butts off in those areas that just got hit by a tropical storm. And they're talking about the weather patterns we can expect this winter with the minimized El Nino, they said, mild El Nino. It should be colder up north, warmer down south. Okay. I can live with that. Boxrod is here. How you doing, Boxrod? And Moorhen from across the pond. Good to see you. Ted and Cindy T are here. Here I am. Good morning to all. And I want to read these and put them up on the screen here just to say hi. Marcus Esterling, good to see you. And Mark C is here. How you doing, Mark? Good to see you. Eddie Edwards has joined us. Loretta Stahl, how are you, Loretta? If I mispronounce any names, it's because I have a hard time reading off of this tiny little type on the computer screen from this far away. Patty Ruth Patty Rucci from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Good to see you. And this is Play with a capital Y. That's a new one. Haven't seen you before. Welcome. Said hi there, Mitch. Matthew Trumley, good morning to you. And Josephine C. is here. Hey, good morning. We have Lake Girl. Good morning to all from beautiful central Minnesota. Fall colors, and the temperature is 39 degrees. Yes, sir. Maybe we're actually done with these tropical storms down here. I think the two they've been scaring us with, or trying to scare us with over the past week, aren't going to hit the states because of these big cold fronts. It is the middle of October after all. Matt Thompson says, good morning, Mitch. Todd Garnett. How you doing, Todd? Morning, Mitch. And the gang from Round Rock, Texas. And Ellen is here. Good morning, Ellen. How you doing? Good to see you up and about this morning. Nick Sheeson saying hi to everybody. Who didn't I say hi to that's coming up here? Polish. Mike, how you doing? Says hi, boss. Sandy Blythe is here. Hi, Sandy. Good to see you. Cole's Attic. Good morning, Mitch and everyone. Well, the morning's going to get better. It's getting better when my friends come over for coffee. One of the things about living alone is that the only person you really have to talk to is yourself. So when things start off kind of depressing, there's nobody there to snap you out of it. You have to figure out a way to snap yourself out of it. And that's not easy. I think there's upsides to living alone, especially when doing a carnivore lifestyle, because I don't have the influence of somebody else who's not a carnivore in my face all day. But there are downsides to it too. The only conversations you can have most time during the day are with yourself. And if something happens, you see something that happens to piss you off and you're a passionate person, it's going to affect your mood. You see something that makes you laugh, makes you happy, then you can be in a happy mood. Sometimes I wonder if moods are a good thing. And then I say to myself, would I want to be an emotionless sociopath with no feelings and no. I think to be human, or even to be alive, means you have to react to everything that you pick up with your senses, regardless of what sense that is. And I'm a passionate person, and that passion shows. It shows in the difference you might see in me from one day to the other. I hope you accept that. I hope that maybe view that even as a benefit. But the good thing about moods is that they don't last long and can be tipped and triggered by something in the opposite direction in a minute's notice. We have Lake Girl here. How you doing? The news is meant to keep us scared and worried. Yes, it is, but what do you do? What do you do? I try to avoid broadcast news, but then I go on YouTube. And it's all there. Every TV station's got YouTube videos out, and you see the headline. Even if you don't watch the videos, you see the thumbnail and you see the headline. And the weather thumbnails always show the killer storm coming right to my house. Somehow, everybody in every weather department knows exactly where my house is, because that's where they always point the storms. Or so it seems. We could always just stick to those people that are saying exactly what we want to hear, so we can go, yeah. But you don't. You're just watching people preaching to the choir, and you're hearing what you want to hear, and you have no way of knowing what's really going on. There's so many channels for each side of the political aisle that do nothing all day but demonize the other guy. Well, maybe we've got too much of that going on. So I have a hard time watching them too. Yeah, I like what I hear. Oh yeah, that's great. Rah rah. Our team's going to win. But are they really? Or do they know that they can get half the viewers in this country and get their loyalty and their clicks and their views and get them to watch their advertisements because they're telling them what they want to hear? Impartiality in any media, I think, anymore is impossible. Any poor guy who's in the middle gets the crap beat out of him and driven out. They'll cancel him, and both sides will want to cancel him if they're not carrying their water. Anyway, we've gotten ourselves into a terrible mess. And these things haven't helped it any. They put that terrible mess in our face and in our mind 24/7. We can't even sleep without dreaming about this stuff anymore. I don't know. I try to avoid it, but it's very hard to avoid. Oaktown Girl, hey everybody. Mitch's live stream times always suck for me because of work, but just wanted to say hi. Well, I'm sorry about that. I try to do the best I can, and there's always people that aren't going to be able to fit me into their schedule, but there are replays, and I hope you find them entertaining, at least when I'm not depressed. But I'm getting better. My favorite saying has always been Rodney Dangerfield's, where he says, I'm okay now, but I was in rough shape yesterday. Well, that's kind of the story of life, I think. And Ellen is talking, and Papa Carnivore is talking, and we have Sammy Schufert here. How you doing, Sammy? Good to see you. Laurie Whitesoul, Eddie Edwards. I don't know if I think I may have said hi to some of you before, but let me just go on down the list. Zeno is here, says good morning. Good morning, Zeno. And Loretta Stahl said good morning to you. You get two of them this morning. Cynthia Page, Eddie Edwards, HVAC1. We know how that judge got involved. Yeah, I mean, I have no trouble. I have most, if not all, of this crowd has brains and understands the reality of the importance of this upcoming election, at least the ones that live in this country, and I can only address them. Although it's amazing to me that this, believe it or not, and you Australians will get a kick out of this, the single most conservative YouTube channel is not who you might think that I see on YouTube every day. It's Sky News Australia. I have never seen anybody. If you think CNN is on the left, these people make CNN look like kindergarten children when it comes to trashing the other side. I watch their things every once in a while, but I don't watch too much of it because I think they may overdo it a little bit. But it always tickles me that kind of political commentary has to come from a foreign country. Not only foreign, but clear on the other side of the world. You want to see Australia? Look down. You'll be looking straight at it. And that'll work for all but you people that still believe the earth is flat. Won't go there. Duck River Mama, how you doing? Good to see you. And Tina Schweikerath is here. Hiya, Tina. How are you today? And we have Annie Kostka. Annie Kostka. Good morning, she says. Jennifer Lumsden, sending love and light from Scotland. May Trump win and stay safe. Thank you. I try to avoid mentioning either of the candidates' names. Isn't it a shame? Isn't it a shame that I have to make a decision that if I even talk about this stuff, that I could lose a third of my subscribers because people hate me? How we have stayed out of civil war in this country, I don't know, but I hope we continue to. We'll see. We'll see. There are those that I remember that were predicting we'd never survive 2024 because of this election. We never survive. We never make it. We would self-destruct before it ever happened. And as 2024 progressed and it got to be spring, it got to be summer, it got to be fall, I say to myself, well, we made it so far. We made it so far, Mitch. Maybe we'll make it the rest of the day. But I'll tell you what I know right now. I know one thing for sure. And let me give you a clue as to what it is. Anybody that can sit still and not move to that music, I don't get. I love it. See, I feel better already. That's all it takes. Something happy. And I find, honest to God, I find it very, very difficult to stay upset or depressed. And I don't know what it is about that song. Many people have asked me, they wanted to get a copy of it. I download, the name of it is Sabana Havana, Sabana Havana. It, I don't think, was ever a published piece of music. I downloaded it from years and years and years ago. I downloaded it from a site that has free and royalty-free and copyright-free public domain music. And sad to say, some of the music way back when that I downloaded from that site actually has gotten copyright strikes on YouTube. And I have to be very careful. But that jazzy theme song that I use, Book Bag it's called, this Sabana Havana, I've never gotten a strike. I think it was recorded by just somebody, using maybe a drum machine, a keyboard that can mimic any instrument, and he just assembled it. And there's a lot of really good music out there of people that just have their own little home studio. They're musicians, and they record these things, and they put them out there and just let anybody use them who wants to. So I don't know where to tell you to get that anymore. I have the MP3, and I use it on my channel, but I'm sorry to have to say I don't know where you could find it. You could try to Google Sabana Havana and see if it takes you somewhere where you could download it. If Google's worth anything, it should. It should. At any rate, let me finish up with this. Here we go. I finally see a question. I'm not from the U.S. What do you see the primary issues if I don't want to, I'm sorry, Boxrod. I just got over that. If I started talking about what I thought were the primary issues, I wouldn't have to. I wouldn't have to make and create a new live stream for tomorrow morning and a new thumbnail and all that, because we would still be here. I'd be throwing chargers on my tablet to keep it alive all night while I sat here for 24 hours and told you what could and possibly will go wrong with not only our country, but your country and the rest of the world if our election goes. Or let's put it a different way. If the people in this country base their vote on diversity, equality, racism, abortion, and other issues, instead of basing their vote on the economy, peace in the world, common sense, the overhaul, complete overhaul of any regulations and regulatory agencies governing the food and drug business and the medical community. If anybody out there thinks that they're only going to vote because of the color of their skin or something like that, they are not doing themselves or anybody else in this world any favor. That's 24 hours of down the rabbit hole condensed into one sentence. Thank you for that question, though. It is the question of the century. One everybody should be asking themselves. Loretta Stahl, how you doing? How you doing? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There we go. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Therapy for Mitch. Got to stay away from the politics. Free Texa Net, how you doing? Sue Hall is here. Good to see you. Nomadia Van. Hey, Mark Whistler, and BMAT. BMAT is here. CB Carmack, hello, but late. Good to see you. Nick Sheeson. Somebody named Knuckles. Hiya, Knuckles. Good morning with the music. Yes, we need more of that, and I will work on it, and I promise you that I am not going to listen to the news at all before tomorrow morning's Coffee with Mitch. I am not going, because I know what will happen. I know there'll be some other absurdity, corrupt, ridiculous thing they're reporting that will set me off. I don't want to change. If that stuff, like I say, I wouldn't be very proud of myself if I could just accept that stuff, just like I can't accept what the medical and food establishment are doing to my fellow human beings. So, and I do everything I can. The only thing I can do, the only change I can affect is in a very few people, in their health, if they listen to me and believe what I'm saying and give it a try. But other than that, I have no power. I have no influence. I have no wide audience. And if the Joe Rogans in the world and the Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s in the world and the Ken Berrys of the world and the Anthony Chaffees of the world can't affect any meaningful change or even recognizable change, and I, in my little show notes that I'm not going to go back to because don't want to go down some of those roads, but one thing I did note to myself this morning was, and I'd be interested to know, over the past few months, we've had more about the reality of what we all know and what we're talking about here on all of the nutritional related channels that aren't vegan and vegetarian, the keto and carnivore, or even low carb. We've seen more videos We've seen more videos with more views. We've seen the message in places where we've never seen it before. We've heard it from Tucker Carlson. We've heard it from Megyn Kelly. We haven't heard it on CNN yet, or NBC or ABC or CBS or MSNBC. We haven't heard it in any of those places. But on the internet and on social media, we are hearing some of it. I still haven't heard the word addiction used very often anywhere. And even with Casey and Kaylee Means, and even with the entire 2 hour and 20 minutes of that video that I thought you'd be interested in watching, in 2 hours and 20 minutes, I heard the word red meat once. And that was the only mention. I heard plenty about poisonous spraying of fruits and vegetables. And being somebody that believes that fruits and vegetables really have no place in the human diet, if carb addiction is a problem, which it usually is, that's a moot point. It's a moot point for me as a carnivore. I've solved that problem. I've stopped all that poisoning from all of those sprays and glyphosates and pesticides and insecticides very simply with one simple rule and one fell swoop. Mitch, don't ever put a piece of a plant in your mouth again. Period. And end of story. I never hear about that. I never hear about carnivore. The best I ever hear on that national stage is low carb. And what do they even mean by low carb? Do they mean 100 grams or less? That's not low carb. That never cured anybody's carb addiction. Abstinence. I keep talking about that. I don't hear the word abstinence from carbs anywhere. I don't hear any of this message on the national stage. And the one thing that I have never heard is I haven't heard any of this message of ours repeated by any, and I'm going to call them civilians. I don't know what else to call them. So when I say civilians, I'm referring to non-carnivores. And I even throw a few keto people in there who really do keto properly. And keto done right does not include anything but vegetables that are low carb. Broccoli, Brussels sprouts, maybe some salad material, but it does not include keto blueberry muffins made with almond flour and artificial sweetener. I'm sorry, that is not what I'm talking about. So I limit my discussions to mostly carnivore, mostly people who are abstaining from carbs completely because we've all learned the hard way. We never believed it, but we all learned the hard way that we are addicted to this crap and we cannot sustain a healthy lifestyle if we go near it, not even a bite. It's just the way it is. I've known some alcoholics in my lifetime that have climbed on the wagon and stayed there. And if you talk to these people, they usually have tried many times before they were successful. And they always succumbed to that, well, one drink won't hurt. Come on, we're celebrating just one drink. And every time they broke the rule of complete and total abstinence, not a drop, they failed. And it took God knows how many trials and errors for them to realize that if you're addicted to something, you must abstain. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Doesn't it? It's worse with carbohydrate addiction. We all know that. And that's how I learned. And it only took me the short little bit of 75 years of life on this planet to finally get that message through my thick skull and have the reality sink in to me that the reason that I failed, the reason that I had so many chronic conditions, I was suffering with so many things, was because I couldn't stop consuming mass quantities of sugar, even if I only did it for short periods of a month or two, in between all of that work, trying to get the weight back down. And I would say, honestly, I yo-yoed 15 times at least in my lifetime. That's a lot of work and effort. I've spent most of my life on a diet, only to take a couple of months when it got the better of me and put all the weight back on and more. And that's why I talk about it the way I do. And that's why I know that the keto people and the low carb people and nobody else wants to hear me. I know that the you got to eat fiber people. I know that all this other stuff, they don't want to hear this. But I'm convinced that for those of us that are helpless to fight these addictions, this is the only way we can do. And those people that aren't helpless, that can moderate, more power to them. Do whatever you want. Still need to keep an eye on your health, but do whatever you want. We're not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to tell you what I did and what seems to work. Let's see here. Got to give you a little speech, you know. Got to give you a little speech. Wouldn't be a normal Mitch live stream without one. Anybody I haven't said hi to? We have. Holy cow. Let me get ready. Elizabeth Murphy, DC, CCST, LA little C, RMT. Good morning, Mitch. Decaf coffee with butter foam. There you go. And with all of those credentials and letters, I'll assume you know what you're talking about. So yes, decaf coffee. No foam for me, but I am drinking the decaf. Wow, that is one of the longest names I've ever seen typed in on a YouTube chat. Did I say hi to Susan M? I think I might have. Loretta Stool, how you doing? Good to see you. If I haven't said hi to you. Here's another one of my really favorite handles. I love it. Does not play well with others. Good morning, Mitch, from my tractor trailer. How you doing? Yeah, I can understand if you're driving a big rig. Sometimes the temptation is not to play well with some of the idiot drivers out there. Less junk, more health is here. Hi, how you doing? Beautiful morning here in Florida. You got that right. It's gorgeous here. Ron Klotz. I don't recognize that name. Good morning, Ron. Welcome. Glad you found me. You didn't find me on my best day, but I'm here. The show must go on. POI, how you doing? That's P-I-O, play, P-L-A-Y, from the Philippines. Is that? It's play, P-L-A-Y. Okay, but that's a small, it looks like an I. P-A? I don't know. P-I-A-Y. Pay? Pay? I don't think it's an L, or else you would have capitalized it. At any rate, however you pronounce your name from the Philippines, it's great that you're here. Great that you're here. Welcome, and we'll get that name straightened out. Next time, tomorrow, whenever else you come back, spell it phonetically. If it's pronounced pay, type P-A-Y. If it's pronounced play, type P-L with a capital L-A-Y. And I'll remember it. I'll remember it after that. At least I think I'll remember it. Steve Steckler says, shalom, everyone. Shalom, Steve. And I'm sure most of you know what shalom means. And if any of you don't, it's a Hebrew word. It means hello, goodbye, or peace. Sin is here. How you doing, Sin? Good to see you. DS-111, the plant is trying to kill you. Yes. Yes, we know that. We know that, and we try not to eat them. Terry's back. Morning, I fell back asleep. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I actually slept in this morning. I slept all the way till 5:30. Who else didn't I say hi to? I'm also looking for questions when I do it this way. I'm less likely to miss them on this big chat that's on the tablet. We have Ronald Carl. How you doing, Ronald? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Said hi to you, Steve. B. Matt. Yeah, I agree, Matt. I agree. Rita, she's a riot, isn't she? What's the name of her show? Lefties Losing Their Mind or something like that. But I mean, I've never seen. They're more right-leaning than any network or anything. We used to have Fox, but they've gone to the wolves. And they're having an interview with our esteemed vice president this evening on Fox, and I will bet that they will not ask one hardball question, not one. And they had to agree to that, or they never would have agreed to the interview. Those aren't interviews, those are staged, scripted events. And I don't know if it's true or not, but from what I've seen, I believe that she really does wear Bluetooth earrings so that they can feed her information during an interview. And I will say one other thing, and I'll maybe take a look at my subscriber count after this to see how drastically it's been reduced. Their side came out and accused Donald Trump of hiding. They accused Donald Trump of hiding from the public. Let that sink in a minute. They accused Donald Trump of being in hiding. The man is on every network, in every city, in every arena, every minute of every day. You can't go anywhere where you don't see him. And yet they accuse him of hiding. There's an expression. If that's not the pot calling the kettle black, I've never heard anything. But that's how absurd the contrast is between the two sides. And they did it the same thing 4 years ago. They're running the same playbook. They hide and only push the emotional issues. Sorry. Hang on. I knew it was going to be a tough day. I knew it. Okay, I'm back. Thank you. Who needs a therapist? Who needs to pay $350 an hour to a psychiatrist when you got that? Let's see. Anybody else? Dougie Z, how you doing? Or Dougie Z. I've never seen that name before either. Welcome. Duck River Mama came to visit with us. This is a very strange morning show this morning. I'm just wandering all over the place. Going places I shouldn't. Sorry. I just have to. I'm sorry. I'm a human being. I'm a man. I live in this country. This is my country. I served in the military. I gave this country years of my life to protect freedom and democracy, and it breaks my heart and kills me when I see what's happening and what we're just giving away. And up here I go again. And when I see the fact that FEMA ran out of money pretty much because they can't They don't have money, and I'll leave it up to you to figure out where all that money went. It's not hard to find out that those poor people whose lives have been turned upside down, Americans, people that were born and lived in this country and supported this country and worked in this country and paid taxes in this country, have to take a back seat to imported voters, many of whom are living in really nice apartments in New York City and getting $2,500 a month. Yeah, I know it's hard to believe. And any of us that aren't pissed off about that just aren't aware of what's going on. Oops, sorry. Harley Camper, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Terry says politics has always had a lot of unprofessional backbiting. You think? Yes, ma'am, you are absolutely right. And David Cox has done the smart thing. Had 5 strips of bacon and 4 eggs, and he's still hungry. Well, I have an answer for that, David. Have another 5 strips of bacon and another 4 eggs until you're not hungry anymore. Believe it or not, that's how you do it. Don't let yourself be hungry when you've eaten a meal. If you're still hungry after you've eaten a meal, you haven't eaten enough. Follow your body's clues. It won't steer you wrong. Stop worrying about how many ounces you lost today. My main message is so simple. It's so simple. Eat till satiety, throw away the scale. Eat the right foods. That's it. How in the hell do I manage to keep a YouTube channel going and come up with content every day when that's all basically I've got to say? That's it. Eat until you're not hungry. Throw away the scale and learn what foods to eat. Don't eat plants, don't eat carbs. The basic rules are the simplest lifestyle that ever lived. Yeah, we can fine-tune it a little bit. We can do things. We can learn all about grounding, and we can get sunlight and do all that stuff. But the basics will get you there. They will get you over the carbohydrate addiction in a month or two, and you're home free. If you don't let yourself be influenced by all of the BS that's coming your way from everybody else. And I was making a point earlier. I asked you, with all the publicity that low carb and all this stuff's been getting from the Kennedys, I never finished this point, and the Casey and Kaylee means, and being talked about by Joe Rogan, who's been on and off carnivore for a long time, and being talked about by national figures and appearing in places that's never appeared before. Have you met one person that still doesn't think you're crazy for being a carnivore? Have you been able to convince anybody that you were unable to convince before, that because it's now in the so-called national spotlight, that you're not crazy? No, not me. I haven't met or talked to anybody yet. The only people I've talked to are people that are members of the same choir I am. Even my own children. Who know that they're carb addicts. Who know how to eat properly. Who know, God knows they've heard it enough from me. Who have me as an example. It's crazy when I weigh almost just about half as much as my son. And with all that, with all the knowledge they have, with the acute knowledge of the fact that they are killing themselves slowly, they still can't stop. They can't stop. And it's watching that is one of the main reasons that cemented in my mind the absolute power that this carb addiction has over us. And that everything else we might think we're going to do, we don't have the ability to overcome that. And that's most of us. And I still see it every day. I still see it, and I'm getting nowhere. And it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, I don't think, how much national attention this is going to get. I think it's important that maybe people get into power in government, that the agencies that regulate the chemicals, they clean house, that we at least keep up with Europe in the poisons that we prohibit in our foods. That would be a start. But that will not cure anybody's carb addiction. It will not reduce the sugar consumption in this country by 1 gram a year. I don't think so. I think, and I'll keep talking about it until nobody listens anymore, I think the only way to address this problem is to make it a national addiction issue with public service ads, programs, national programs for carbaholics to dwarf those of drug users and alcoholics, because it's a much bigger problem and responsible for what is soon to be, I think, an extinction of our species on this planet eventually. I don't know how many more generations we could have left at this rate. Our kids aren't making it out of childhood anymore. What are their lifespans going to be? Are they going to live to 50 maybe? If they're already diabetics by the time they're 12 on insulin, jabbing insulin into their stomach and jabbing Ozempic in their ass and swallowing SSRIs, ADHD drugs. How can they live past 50 like that? It's as bad as any drug user. How many heroin addicts live to 50? How many heavy cocaine users live to 50 that don't overdose long before? It's not a bright looking future unless we do something drastic to fix it. And even if we elect the right people, the odds of them fixing it are still very slim without the actual knowledge and support of people out there. And as it stands right now, we are a merry little band of lunatics who don't eat fruits and vegetables and eat only meat, which everybody knows causes cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. Just ask them. So that's where we are. That's where we are. And that's just the reality of the message. And I'm a realist. And I come on here in the morning and I go make my videos and to try to help and try to answer your question. But the thing that I try to do most, that I hope you appreciate, I imagine that's why there's still 150 of you watching, is to try to keep continually bringing our focus back to what the real problem is. And the real problem is we're a world that has been addicted purposely, methodically, to poison. And we support those people that are killing us. We throw money at them in huge quantities, buying their poisons because they have addicted us to it. When we finally figured out that the tobacco companies were doing that, it didn't stop them. They bought the food companies. And if we finally figure out that the food companies are doing it and manage over a period of 30, 40, 50 years to do something about that, They'll figure out some other way to kill us. I don't want to believe the only answer for us is to go live in a cave somewhere, sleep on the dirt, sharpen our spears, and go out and hunt big animals, if there's any left. But that's where we are. That's where we are. And I think that as long as we stay focused on the fact that that's the problem and what we have to do, some of us may actually kick those addictions, like I was able to do after all those years. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm just here to show you that if a 77-year-old guy who's been fat all his life, on and off, can do it, and this is how I did it, that there's maybe a chance that you can do it too. And that's the best I got to offer. So my friends, let me try to end this on a cheery note here. Relight a cigar that was sorely neglected. Let me turn this down a little bit. A cigar that was sorely neglected to some happy music. It ended. Oh no. There it goes. And that brings me to the end of a very, what I think was strange hour, but I hope that it was entertaining for you, and you're all still here, so must have done something right. Thanks for coming to visit with me today. Thank you all. I'll give you a minute or two to say goodbye to each other in the chat. I'm sorry that I didn't really delve too deeply in the chat. I did that last night. That was pretty much my whole 2-hour live stream, was interacting with the chat. Today I seem to have had things to pontificate about. But everybody is saying goodbye to each other. Chad Fetter says cheers, Mitch. Scooby, Ellen, always good to see you. Fran, Mariah, Wanda Girling, Free Texanet, Lori Weitzel, Josephine C. waving at everybody. Great to see you all. Great to see you. And I will see you maybe in a video today, maybe not. But I will definitely see you tomorrow morning, 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time, to have your what now is cold morning coffee with me. It is cold. And with that, my friends, take the rest of the day off and eat meat.